Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We are currently exploring the scripture Mysticism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Commentary is by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So, yesterday we had covered the Chatushloki, the 4 shlokas, 4 verses narrated by Lord Narayana, which eventually became 18,000 different verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's proceed. It is said that from Brahman there emanated the Tanmatras. These are called the subtle aspects of the 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. From these elements, all physical forms evolved and God entered into them. However, as Lord Vishnu points out in Bhagavata Chatushloki, this entry is only figurative. The ocean may be said to have entered its waves, but at the same time it has not really entered. The waves are nothing but the ocean. Similarly, the elements themselves as well as all resultant forms are nothing but God. Lord Vishnu indicates that by adopting the techniques of negation and affirmation, it's called Anvaya Vyatirek. So we analyze it. One should gain insight into the fact that all this is the divine self or Brahman. By negating all that is not self, you discover I am not the body, I am not the senses, the pranas, the mind, intellect, and ego. All these are just my instruments. So it's very important for aspirants to understand this. Most of us, many people even die thinking they are only this body or this mind or intellect or ego. They have no idea that these are just our instruments. We are not them. So they are all perishable and will come to an end. But the real me is immortal and eternal. At the same time, allow your I am to become expansive through the practice of positive affirmation. Allow yourself to feel tuned with the moon as it showers nectar and the breeze as it carries fragrance, with the sun as it bathes the earth with its radiance. You are not limited to the body. There is nothing that is not you. You are all that exists. So this is the eventual experience we will get. But first we have to have the theoretical knowledge, and then we will convert it into our daily practical experience also. So you discover that you are one with the all-pervasive divine presence. You are not a wave in the ocean. You are the ocean. A wave is nothing but the ocean itself. At last, the glorious I am of Krishna, as revealed in Vibhuti Yoga, chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, becomes I am, and your heart overflows in the fullness of self-realization. So when we are able to see that vision of the self, that's when we are called self-realized or Jivan Mukt, like we always say, from advanced sages and saints. And we are so blessed to have our Divine Master Guruji Swami Jyotirmayananda, who is a fully illumined and enlightened sage, which is a rarity in this world. Most people have no idea. Forget about seeing an enlightened sage. They have just heard these things, and even then they keep getting caught in the meshes of Maya. So I just want us to feel and know how blessed each of us are to be getting these teachings directly from a self-realized master, and his blessings and his books that we read are also carrying that additional energy that helps each of us in our daily life. So let's continue to the avatars of Lord Vishnu, or the different incarnations. Avatars means incarnations, different forms. So in his teachings to sage Narada in the 2nd book of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma, the creator, introduces the profound concept of avatara, God's descent or manifestation upon the earth. Touching upon the highest Vedanta in his devotional teachings, Brahma eloquently conveys to Narada that God or Brahman, which is the divine self or supreme being, represented here as Lord Vishnu or Narayana, is the majestic truth that underlies and is the very essence of this creation. Whatever exists in creation is nothing but the self. The entire universe is nothing but the manifestation of God, the body of God. To promote a mind that perceives the universe in this majestic way is the ideal before a devotee. Such a mind is no longer cramped by ego consciousness nor burdened by egoistic desires or vasanas. So we can imagine we are part of this cosmic consciousness, the Virat Purush, or the large body of the God that transcends all the three worlds, the Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Loka, and the 14 different world systems there are. So perfectly in tune with the cosmic mind and sublimely pure, it views every object in the world as a window to eternity. The devotee who possesses such a mind no longer looks for God somewhere in the future or somewhere out in the distant sky. Rather, he experiences God here and now as the permeating, all-encompassing reality. He sees every internal movement of the mind as well as everything the senses perceive externally as an expression of divine glory. He swims in the ocean of unending delight because he is constantly enveloped and encompassed by the one who is the embodiment of infinite love and sweetness. So this is the feeling of a devotee when he has touched the divine energy. To help lead the mind to such a joyous and luminous state, sages have introduced the method of meditating upon the avatars or manifestations of God upon this earth. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions that there are 24 such avatars of Lord Narayana. Although the Sanatan Dharma scriptures talks about the 10 main avatars, but in Srimad Bhagavatam it mentions the 24 such avatars of Narayana or Lord Vishnu, the divine self. So briefly, they are the Varaha avatar, Yagya, Kapila, Dattatreya, Sanat Kumara, Sanaka, Sanandan, Sanatan, Nara Narayan, Dhruva, Prithu, Rishab, Hayagriv, Matsya, Kachap, Nrasimha, Hari, Vamana, Hamsa, Dhanavantari, Parshurama, Rama, Balarama, Krishna, Vyasa, Buddha and Kalki. So these are the 24 different aspects that are considered by Srimad Bhagavatam as manifestations of Lord Narayana. Although certain avatars such as these have been highlighted in the Vedic culture from a historical or mystical point of view, avatars are in no way restricted to 24 or any other number. These 24 are simply highlighting countless expressions of God like waves in the ocean of the self. Understood more profoundly, the entire world is an expression of God. Every element around you is a manifestation of God. Every human being is essentially the divine self. Therefore, as you advance and begin to radiate the presence of God through your personality, you become an avatara. All sages and saints are avatars. Avatars in this general sense are referred to as Ansha Avatara or little rays of God. But then there are Purna avatars, complete or full avatars like Rama and Krishna and others highlighted in the scriptures. But we also have the same ray of God within us. Some avatars have a certain historicity behind them, but broadly they are all a highly figurative and mystical portrayal given by the sages of the Absolute Self. Meditation upon the mystical form of these major avatars and their stories has become the support for profound devotional movement and has led sincere aspirants to the heights of divine love and wisdom. So we will continue this satsanga tomorrow. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.